Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to The Artist Prepares. I am your host, Mr. J the Actor. My next guest coming to the stage is from a small town from the great state of Virginia. He's a professional actor that started out on stage, but has throughout the years grown to learn film acting. He's most recently located to California and has taken the film and television industry by storm. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Richard Mooney.
What's going on, Rich?
What's going on, my man? It's good to see you.
Hey, man, it is great to see you. It's been about, 12 years? 11, 12 years, somewhere around?
It's getting up there, man. My goodness.
Man.
Feels like yesterday in some ways, you know?
In some aspects it does, man. I'm excited to have you here, man. I've known you for a while, one of my SCAD cohorts. Man, we're going to have some fun today, man. I hope you're ready.
Oh, I'm excited to be here, man. Absolutely.
Cool, man. We're not going to delay it any further. We're going to dive right into it. So
let's get in.
Before we get started, man, you know, you and I are both actors. You know, in order for an actor to really get in their zone, man, we got to warm up a little bit. So I have a few questions here for some rapid fire questions, right? So the first is just going to be, there's going to be some word association. I'm going to give you a word and you let me know the first thing that comes to mind when you hear these words, okay?
Oh, all right. Well, I'm down. Let's do it.
All right. So your first word is discipline. First thing that comes to mind when you hear discipline.
Acting, just, preparation.
Yes, sir. I like it. Next word is action.
Films, let's go. That's the new thing, right? For us, we met on the stage. So that's the next thing, right?
Yes, sir. Next word, responsibility.
Dog. That's what came to my mind. I got my dog sitting right next to me right now. And he feels like, he's my best responsibility.
Right. I like it. Doubt is your next word.
Never.
Talk about it, Rich. He said never. Let's go. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Next question is, who would you rather work with? You have the option. You work with either Leonardo DiCaprio or Johnny Depp. Who would you pick?
Wow, that's a great question. Man. Obviously, I grew up with both of those lead actors and watching them in so many films. I think at this point in my life, I'd have to go with Leo. I'd have to go with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
And no disrespect to my man Johnny Depp, because that's a dream come true too.
I mean, you can't really go wrong with either one. So I mean,
you can't. Yeah. But no, that's a great question, because you do think about also, when you get that opportunity to step up to that level, are you going to be prepared, and how are you going to handle it? And I have had small opportunities where I've been able to be amongst some of the best and some of the big names, and it is nice, man. It's nice to I'll tell you one thing, it's inspiring, because even just to be in that same room, to eat at that same table, to be under that same director, it's inspiring. You feel good about it,
That's dope, man. That's dope. So let's take it to the TV. So if you could create your own reality TV show, because that's the new thing right now, what would your reality TV show be if you could create any reality TV show?
Oh, I can create it. It doesn't have to be about me.
No, it's you creating your show, whatever show you want. What would your show be?
Oh, you know what? Honestly, I would do like backstage behind like a theater company.
Oh, it'd be dope.
That would be great. There's even like a cohort, maybe like when we had in grad school, the idea of just like a repertory of actors that would get together and they would do shows. If you had a repertory theater company already, obviously that would be the way to go. And I'd want the cameras and backstage, not just in the audience. I want to see like just like you're talking about the name of the show, how they prepare.
Right.
Like how they get ready, and not just the acting, but it's like, the costumers and the lighting guys and the director, and, getting
That's everything. Yeah.
all those pieces, you know.
We might have to sit at the table for that one. That's a good idea, Rich.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, name a movie that made you step up your game. Like you saw this movie and you was like, man, I got to get back to the drawing board.
Wow, great question. Great question. You know what's funny is I will say one of my favorite movies, and the one I'm thinking of is the Life Aquatic.
Okay.
It's a Wes Anderson film, right? Not one of the bigger movies, and I'm not even specifically thinking of a lead actor in the movie, but the quality of the movie, the way that the shots were done, just the ability to portray that much beauty and art in a film shot, moment after moment for 2 hours. It really inspired me, and it really made me go, do you know how much work they'd have to put in to make that so good?
Right.
And then that gets you up and you say, like, let's put that work in, let's go.
Yeah, the work is always more important than everything, man. But even like you said, from the outside looking in, when you see that, like, man, do you know how much time and effort and just planning and just the vision behind all of that?
Yes, exactly.
Correct.
And that and Wes Anderson, that filmmaker, inspires me all the time. I mean, one of the reasons I thought of it, because I'm looking up on my bedroom wall, and I got a picture of some of his. A friend gave me some of the characters from his movies, like all painted together, and it is inspiring when you see greatness, and that would be a dream of mine, would be to work with him, honestly.
That's dope. That's dope. So let's take it to the next one. So a lot of times when films come out, and it doesn't get great reviews or not received as the best movie, people like to point the fingers. So what makes a movie bad? Is it the actors or is it the script? If you had to decide.
You're bringing the heaters, Jay. I love it, man. These are the best. I love it. You know what? Here's the thing. It has to start with the script. That's the building block. And if it's not a good script, if it's not done, if it's not written well, then you're playing catch up the whole time. You're just band-aiding the whole thing together. And maybe you can have some great acting performances and you can have some great action scenes, and you put the right music in there, and it's like, oh, that was kind of fun, but it's never going to be a great film because you didn't have that script to begin with. Wow. And I think that when people point the finger at actors, I can understand. Let's just say it's an easy finger to point because they're the representation of the film. They're the ones that are up there on the screen, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know what it was like when they were shooting that film, how much time they had to shoot that scene, what the director was like, what the demands were like. Did they get the script right beforehand, or did they have time to prepare? It's a real world out there, and things happen, and it's, I'm not going to say it's never the actor's fault,
right?
But it's the easiest finger to point at to say, oh, he didn't carry the film. Well, maybe the film didn't carry him.
I mean, look at it. We're the end product, right? No one cares how sausage is made. They just want the sausage at the end, so we're the end product of everything. So they don't see everything that went in prior to everything. So it makes complete sense. I agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So if you could watch only 3 movies for the rest of your life, you only can pick 3 for your entirety of your life, what would they be?
Wow. Well, all right. I just talked about one of my favorites, right? So we'll definitely put that in there. Life Aquatic. I love that film.
Right.
We're recording this in January. You just got after the Christmas season, and one of the films I saw then that just reminded me how much I love that film is this one. It's a Wonderful Life. So we'll throw that one in there. I love that one.
Right.
And I would say, because you gotta have some fun, you gotta have some kind of adventure, right? I would say let's put in like Star Wars. I love Star Wars.
I was waiting for it. I was like, he has to have Star Wars in there.
It's so great. And I'm talking about the original. So I just, you know, I think between those three films, you could have a pretty good time, you know, if you're on a deserted island, if that's what you're going for.
I like it. I like it. So your last question. We always talk about the best piece of advice. We always talk about the good advice we got, right? But name some advice that you got as it relates to your art that you felt was just bad advice.
Oh wow. Oh, that's a great question. Say yes to everything.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Especially in the beginning, people just say, you know, you want to get your feet wet, you want to do this, you know, you want to do that. Um, Remember just how much power that you have as an actor, as a performer within yourself. You can focus that power. You don't have to just give it out for free to different people. If you can see that the waters aren't right, go to a different stream.
Mm.
You know, it's not that hard to figure out. It
Mm.
is, but it is. You know, especially when you're young, it is kind of hard. And I think I said yes a little too much, probably. You know, when I should have focused on other things. So that was a lesson to learn. But people, their heart is probably in the right place. You know, but people say, you know, oh, take that, do that. Oh, you got to do that. You know, you got to do that. And it's like, okay, but remember, it's you that's up there. You know, so do you got to do that? You know, that's the question.
I gotta drop some bombs.
There we go.
You're saying yes to everything. But I think that is an interesting point because, you know, we're taught when you're trying to get early in the game and get your feet in, you got to say yes to everything. But also
Exactly.
on that same coin, though, on the flip side of that is the movies that you do or the projects that you do, you're going to be known by that work. So you got to be very cautious of the roles that you take because then you're going to be put in that box of like, oh, I got to do that project. So
Absolutely. You know, I think of it kind of like a painter because, you know, they tell, especially, you know, we went to art school together, you know, it's like there was a lot of painter friends that I had that were going to art school and they
right.
were telling them when they were starting to sell their paintings, they were saying, you know, you got to sell high. And I was saying, like, it's a nice painting, but sell it for a couple $100. Like, why, you know, why does it have to be a couple thousand? Like, why do you have to go high?
Right.
And they're saying you have to set your value in the market early. You
Yeah.
have to set your own value in the market.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing for performers. You know, it's like it's not just how much money you might be getting paid for that job, it's how much time and energy you're giving to that job and what you could be giving to, you know, other avenues within your career. And
Right.
if you're focused, you know, if you're ready for opportunities to come, if you're then hopefully you're making the right choices.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to set that standard though. Because like you said, you're just be a yes man, you do every project. And then you gotta
That's right.
like, what is this? But you said
You
yes.
got to learn how to say no, you know.
I love it.
It'll catch up to.
I love it, man. Shout out to the rapid fire, man. I'm nice and warmed up now, man. I'm ready to go. You ready,
I
man?
love it. Absolutely, man. I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee here. I'm excited.
Do your thing, man. Mr. Richard Mooney is an avid actor for both stage and screen. Richard is fiercely dedicated to providing exciting new work and a strong voice in the arts. So before we even get into it, man, just tell the people, how do you and I know each other?
Well, yeah, and I alluded to it a little bit earlier. Didn't mean to give away the ending, but
Hey, this is your show, man. I'm just right now. Go ahead.
but yeah, no, we met in the great state of Georgia, in the city of Savannah. We were going to the Savannah College of Art and Design,
Sir,
and we were both in the graduate acting program.
sir.
Um, and I can't remember, Jay. Do you remember exactly how many students they accepted that year into our cohort?
I think we only had like 11 or 12 total for us.
Some
Yeah, for our group. Everything else was like
right.
undergrad level, but our group was like 12 of us.
I think it was about 12 of us. That's right. Yeah. So, so you know, and that's a competitive group to get into, and everybody had to audition, and you do your thing, and I think right off the bat we immediately saw the same sort of fierceness within what we wanted to get done.
Right,
You
right.
know, um, you know, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but there were some people that were there to play around and have some fun and put on some costumes.
Yeah.
And I think me and you came out of the bullpen, you know,
He was ready.
Ready.
Yeah, man. Man, me and Rich, man, a lot of good times, man. So as soon as I met him, like,
Definitely.
as soon as we hit it, it was like, you Afro, I'm Afro, let's go. Like, we wanted to take over the world. Like, let's go. From us being in class for 2.5 hours to you say, hey, man, what are you doing? Let's go to Tybee, man. We got to get away. We need a mental break from what we just experienced in class, man.
That's right. And we go right to the beach.
Right, man. It was just a good time to see somebody that was so, for me, to see someone that was so passionate about art as I was. Because I came in like saying, exactly, I'm here to tear some shit up. Like, I'm not here to play. Like, I'm here.
You forget how important that is.
Yeah.
You know, because especially acting, when a lot of it really is on your own. You know, you're learning lines. You know, you're putting in the work. You're going over the script. You know, obviously you have to have a director, you have other actors, right? It's a community art form when you put it all together. But there's a lot of that art that is specific to you. So sometimes you can get caught up in that. You forget just how much energy and inspiration you can get from connecting with peers that want the same thing and that are fighting that same fight, you know?
Of course, man. Not only that, man, I always saw you like there was a group, and then you were maybe a foot or two away from the group. And I'm kind of like, what's with this guy? And, you know, I don't think people really took the time to really understand you. And I was like, well, I want to see what's up with this guy. And I don't think I was going in there with the intention, like, let me see what's up. And it was just like instant, like, hey, what's going on? Hey, let's do this. Let's go. Hey, you want to rehearse? You want to rehearse these lines? You want to go over this Shakespeare? You want to do this scene? Like, let's go. And we were constantly always pushing each other. Hey, Rich, like that, but man, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel how you did that monologue. You got to give me more. I'm not feeling the Shakespeare in that one.
And making each other better.
Definitely. Iron sharpening iron at that moment. So it was a great experience, man. And you were someone that was very direct and blunt about what you wanted. Not even through class. You were quick to say, I never heard the phrase until I heard you say, I'm not gonna do this for shits and giggles. Like, are we just doing this for shits and giggles, or what are we doing? You were the king of shits and giggles. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Oh man.
But you were saying, hey, look, I mean, are we just doing this to jerk around, or like, are we really serious? Like, I don't want to come in here and come to rehearsal or doing this class we're just playing. Like, are we gonna do it for real or what? So I appreciated those moments, and it was a very challenging experience for me to be there, and you know, a lot of things, but to see someone that wanted some of the same things made it so much easier. I'm like, okay, cool. This guy's getting it. This guy's getting it. Yeah, I remember calling you like, hey man, what are you doing? Hey, nothing. Okay, I'm about to come pick you up. All right, let's go, man. We're gonna go wherever. So just having that, I felt like it definitely made it easier for our experience there, because we were guinea pigs when we were there. I mean,
we were definitely, and it did help, absolutely. You know, it's I was, even an undergraduate, you know, I was kind of taught that you know, I had some good teachers, and they were very specific in that acting is a religious experience in a sense. You know, I don't want to put too much on it and you know, get people riled up and, you know, whatever.
I got you.
but at the end of the day, I guess what I'm saying is that it's it takes that same kind of attention and that same kind of ritual aspect to, you know, breaking down character and breaking down the script and getting into your emotions and, you know, being available to an audience, you know, emotionally. And so I just think, you know, that's where that seriousness came from. I do think that people probably took it a little bit as antagonistic at first.
Yeah. It took kind of standoffish or like, whatever. But I knew, like, to me, it was something more. And that was like, I'm a why person. Like, even if you're a certain way, I'm like, but why are you like that? so I'm like, well, why is he like this? And I don't think, like I said, I went in with the intention to say, well, let me figure out why this guy. And it was kind of like, hey, I'm Rich. Hey, what's going on? Let's go. You want to do this scene? And it was like, okay, cool. And it just from there. I can't tell you how many times we would sit after class and just talk about, hey, I didn't get this scene, or does this make sense? Hey, can you give me feedback on this line, or whatever the case? Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
So that was great, and it's necessary. So I'm glad that we got to experience that. But just tell us though, Rich, man, to you, what does it mean to just be an artist?
Well, I think being an artist is that ultimate taking of the mirror and showing it to whoever your audience is, and showing a reflection. That doesn't necessarily have to be realism. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that is didactic. It can be it can be supernatural or science fiction or expressionistic or however you want to do it. But it's willing to be I think brave enough to show your audience like, hey, these are our stories, and we got to pay attention.
Yep.
And we might be slipping over here, and we might be doing well over here. So let's it in a way, art is kind of keeping a tally in society, and it's saying, hey, this is who you are. Don't forget to look in the mirror once in a while.
It is always. It's that reflection. It's just putting the mirror right back on you to say, I like that analogy for it. So tell us, what was your intro into art? Because I mean, you seem well-rounded as it relates to just being an artist. So what was kind of your intro as to getting into art?
I got into it maybe later than most people, quite honestly. Especially most actors. I meet a lot of actors that get into it very young. My story was that I was in high school. I was a senior in high school. I was running cross country, and I ended up spraining my ankle, but I sprained really bad. I was in a cast for like 3 months. I couldn't run.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a bad sprain. Actually, it still keeps me in trouble to this day. When it rains, right?
Right.
But so basically, that took me out of commission from running, and at the time, I couldn't drive because of my ankle, right? And my parents were working at that point, so they weren't available to come pick me up. My sister was already in college. So basically, I didn't have a ride home until after cross country practice, but I couldn't run, and everybody else is running, so it's not like I can hang out with them. You know what I mean? So what I ended up doing was I was sitting in the back of the high school auditorium, and they ended up having it was like drama club or whatever. They were rehearsing for a play that they were putting on.
Right.
And I think I made it through maybe a couple days just by sneaking in and kind of just sitting there reading a book in the back, But finally, the teacher caught me, and she was like, "Look, I'm not mad. You can hang out in here, but you got to participate." And I was like, "Participate?" And she's like, "Yeah, we got auditions coming up. Like, go ahead, audition." And I was like, "Oh," And so in a way, I was literally like hand fed, just pushed right into it, and I loved it. I immediately found it as a way to connect to emotions and feelings that you could explore. You could genuinely explore without having to put yourself in those situations or feel embarrassed or sad or whatever it is. You get to feel those emotions and experience those emotions through characters, and then you get to live those lives. And what is amazing about those lives, whatever their jobs are or their loves are or their passions are, and that was immediately interesting to me. And so I went full-fledged into it. I mean, during that year, we ended up we took that play. I ended up getting a part in that play that I auditioned for. I got like the lead male role, and then we took that play on the road. Well, like we played it against other schools. It was like a competition, right? So, and it would start off small. You would have like districts, and then regionals, and then states. We won everything. We won like all throughout states. And then I ended up getting, at the very end of it, they gave me the best actor in the whole competition award.
What?
Because that award, it came with, I think it was a $5,000 scholarship as long as I went to an in-state school and declared my major as an actor, or as a theater major.
Theater major, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, literally, I was just led right into it. And who's one to give up $5,000? I went right into it, I was like, I'll call it whatever you want.
That's Rich. That's crazy, man. That's like if something was meant for you, that was it. Like that was walking into the door.
I think about that all the time, Jay. And the thing is I never had a passion necessarily before that. Sports was my thing, and I like sports, but I was not. Wow. Not only was I not the best at sports, but I wasn't the most passionate about sports. I think that's what, that's the reason, is like I got to a level where I was comfortable being good. And after that, it was like, okay, this is fun. I don't have a passion to be great at this.
Right.
But the moment I started acting, I was like, I have a passion to be great at this.
Wow. So tell us, so you got that intro, you got into it, you fell in love with it. At what point was it that you felt like, okay, I want to take this serious to be a professional at this? Because I'm always interested to hear that story. Mm-hmm. Everyone's is different. So what was that moment for you where you had that aha or the moment to say, hey, I have to do this professional. Like, this is what I want to do?
I'm laughing because I think I might have fallen backwards into it. You know what I mean? I don't know that certainly along the way, I had to make that decision many times. Right. But I don't know that I ever made that decision to begin with. I really do think that it was something that I was set up on a path, and I just never diverged from that path. I just decided to keep going. Wow. And there obviously in life there's always obstacles. There's always going to be obstacles, and so you run into obstacles on the way, and you can give up at any point. That's always an option you have. Anybody, you can tap out and say, I'm done.
Can't do it anymore.
I'm gonna go, do whatever it is I can do, whatever the job is that's, available for me.
Yeah.
I never tapped out. And, to this day, when it gets hard, I just focus up. I just get more intense, I mean, this has been a hard year on everybody, but especially actors, especially live performers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're all hurting. So
that's great.
I think that if anything, it was that spirit that was the decision. It was the determination that I just wanted to live a full life. And I couldn't see myself behind a desk for 8 hours a day. I didn't see that. And no shade to anybody that does that, that's a great life. People got to society wouldn't work without people like that, Mm-hmm. And everyone has an important job. It's just that this was going to be my important job. It made me feel important.
Right. It seems like once you found that path, that way, you were like, I'm going to go wherever this journey takes me and keep going. And you weren't willing to give up because, I mean, obviously you're still going. Still going. And that's amazing to see, because like you said, it's so easy at times to just be like, I'm done, to give up.
Yeah.
Because it does become challenging. You're in a role where you can walk in for an audition or interview and they're like, yeah, I don't like you because you remind me of my brother-in-law. And yeah, I don't know. Like before you even spoke
anything,
and that doesn't happen in people's world. Like in our world, that's every day. Like that happens. You can be doing something like, yeah, Rich, you're cool. I love your acting. Can't really get with your hair. Nah, not for me.
Right.
It's that simple. And it's just like, wow. And I don't understand the magnitude of scrutiny that we deal with on a regular basis.
just the level of, I'll give a recent story. I just got a second call back for this film.
Yeah.
And my manager, she took the time to tell me, like, cause she is talking with the production company, and she's telling me, and she's saying, they had, over, I think it was like 400 different agents that were submitting for this particular role. They asked, I think it was 100 of them to resubmit for like specifically a self tape for a callback. And then after that, they had gone down to, I think I was one of 12. And then, you know, I still have to have, if I make it on to the next stage, I still have to have a chemistry read with the lead female. So there are so many different points at which even the best, even the ones that are the most prepared can just get knocked off. You know, sorry, not you. Next up, you know. So it's, you know, and it has absolutely nothing to do with your determination, your look, your ability. It has just everything to do with, you know, which way is the wind flowing today.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that when it's your time, it's your time.
Exactly.
And it's like when it's your time, because you'll have people that may started later than you, maybe less talented than you, whatever, and you'll see them do something like, what did they see in that person? But sometimes it's just not your time. And, you know, I'm a firm believer. Every dog has his day, and today is just not your day. So
Yeah.
go on to the next one and keep it moving. But I mean, you talked about acting and what it done for you as far as in the difference versus sports. So, I mean, what was it about acting specifically that gave you something to say, listen, I really love this?
Well, I mean, I always loved books and I loved reading, you know, and that was kind of my escape when I was younger was, you know, just to get into a good book. And this was books in 3D.
Yeah.
I mean, this was taking scripts and then you got on your feet and you were doing it and you were doing it with other live human beings and they were giving it what all they had as well. And it, you know, talk about a team sport. I mean, you know, when you're working together like that and you're giving and, you know, it might be in the scene, you might be screaming and another person's crying, but backstage, you're hugging. I mean, you're giving it your all. You're working together. You're moving that plot along.
Yes, sir.
I just fell in love with it immediately, man.
Yeah. It's such a camaraderie that you have being able to build. And when everyone is vested in it, like when everyone comes to rehearsal saying, listen, I'm ready to do this. What has to happen? Everyone is dedicated to it. Even doing film, everyone is dedicated to doing the work. Everyone's on the same page saying, look, we're ready to do the work and let's go. It's even more rewarding than like a sport, you know, because in sports, yeah, you have your moments, but like that, it's like you have to be a family because you can be on, you know, on stage. You be on stage, and if I drop a line, Rich, you got to be able to pick it up. You got
There you go.
Momentum going. So
and it happens, you know, even to the best of us, there's just moments, you know, you're a human being. You know, your instrument is not a trumpet, you know, you know, so you don't have to rely on that trumpet to remember its lines before it plays a note. You know what I'm saying? So you're a human being. You got to work with other human beings, and I mean that was another part of it, was just like realizing that your body can be an instrument. You know, not just for sports and for doing physical activity, but it can be an emotional instrument, and you can really you know, you can really find ways to tell stories. I mean, it does go back to that for me as well. Stories, you know.
telling a story, the sport,
Telling stories.
the aspect of the power that you have being an actor, because I always think about, I can do a play or a film and have an audience in the palm of my hand with just like, do you ever think about the power you have as an actor?
It's come later to me, I think, you know, you know, having that experience and realizing it, you know, people might take it for granted, even as, you know, when you're young and you get a good role and you know, you're up there on stage and you think, this is a small town, or this is a small play, or okay, you know, but you could think that all you want, but at the end of the day, it's that power. And that's a, you know, power is never something to sneer at or laugh at, you know. So it's, you're right that it's there. It wasn't the reason I got into it. It wasn't, you know, but it's funny, you know, people give, especially in Hollywood, people give, you know, actors a lot of guff because, you know, they're saying, you know, why are you being political? You know, it's like, you know, stick to the stage, buddy. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to hear your political beliefs. And
Of course.
but you have to understand that person deals with the kind of power that you're talking about on sometimes a daily basis.
Every day.
And that plays into the perspective and into their knowledge of how they can affect the world. And a lot of those people feel like, what kind of a sham, what kind of a clown would I be if I didn't say something?
Of course.
You know,
I mean,
I have this ability.
everything, there's nothing really you can do in the world that is not a reflection of some way of art. Like, it always ties back to it. Art imitates life. You said that from the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
that's the reality of the situation. Like, it all goes back to art. I just always think it's funny when it's like that, you're an actor or whatever, or when it relates to art, it's like people kind of put it to the back burner for other things, whether it be sports, particularly in schools. Everything is, if you look at funding, it has to all go to sports. The arts are usually put on the back burner. But take even now where
Absolutely.
people are binge watching much more series and things. All that is art, like all of it.
Oh man,
It all comes back. But so you mentioned also about going to James Madison, right? So you did the scholarship for. When you went there, I know you had to, major in theater, but what was your expectation when you got in there? Because it was also still kind of new for you.
Yeah, well, they forced me to declare my major as theater. And I could have switched, and so I think that was, part of the reason was like, why not? Let's just try it out. Let's see,
Right.
So my expectation was, I don't know what I expected. I think that because all of the previous experience that I had with theater had been production based, I
Yeah.
kind of just, I thought like, well, this is going to be fun. We're just going to put on a bunch of shows, and I think, I think in the back of my head, I kind of felt like it was going to be more on them. The professors, like they were going to kind of put on the shows and we were going to just sort of be the actors and kind of walk in and do our piece and high five and leave. And when I got there and they said, oh, no, this is your theater, not your show. You propose the show and then you build it from moment one, from scratch.
Yes.
You get designers, you get marketing, you get audiences, you set ticket prices, you do, everything, this construction, sometimes even writing the show itself.
Yeah.
It was intense back then. It was trial by fire.
Yeah.
But now as professional, the fact that I know how to do all the comprehensive, aspects of building a performance from scratch, it's invaluable. It's invaluable. I couldn't be more thankful for that kind of intense learning in a 4-year span.
Yeah, it's definitely something that pushes you. And the great part about it is, like you said, you get to know all the different aspects, not just one. So it's very rewarding to say, oh, if I have to do it, I can. I may not want to go in another way, but if I have to do it, I can do it. So that's
well, and sometimes those doors will open up certain things for you. I'll give you an example. After we graduated SCAD, when I did graduate school, I ended up going. I did a couple different things in travel around for a little bit, but I did end up getting a position in Virginia, back in Virginia, in Richmond at the Virginia Repertory Theater. And I was doing lighting work there. So it had nothing to do with acting whatsoever. But I enjoyed lighting work and I wasn't having a ton of luck at that moment acting. And, as that can mean basically you just don't have another job coming up.
Yeah.
Right. You might be employed as an actor right now and just not have another job coming up, and you got to look for something,
Right.
So that's the position I was in. And I ended up getting a position as a lighting designer for this company. I loved it. I really enjoyed it, but the dynamics of the theater and the dynamics of their season, it was a lot. And I just didn't want to continue on as a lighting designer for them. But I made it very clear to them and told them and, had a good relationship with them.
Right.
And I said, what I'd really like to do is I'd really like to have access to your auditions. One thing led to another. I was going on the road for a year touring with a show for them. And that turned into 3 years.
Wow.
So you never know. You never know. I mean, what one stint for one season as a lighting designer. I think it was 4 shows I did for him. So I
Right.
did 4 shows. That turned into 3 years worth of acting work.
Talk about I gotta clap it up to you for that. Yeah, and using every opportunity, not just thinking, well, I'm just a lighting tech. Like, you using all aspects of it. And that's what it means to be an artist. You maneuver how you have to go. You pivot how you need to pivot to make sure you get it done. So shout out to you for that. So you in JMU and then you graduate and then you decide to go to SCAD. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Talk to us about that. Why did you decide to go to grad school?
Well, for one thing, I academia, I loved college. You know what I mean? I love the fact that you would be in a place where everyone there was in some way, shape, or form dedicated to showing up and doing work, learning.
God bless you.
You know, obviously not everyone is in the same headspace, but those people, they filter out. I mean, at the end of the day, the people that mean something to you that you're surrounded by are there to learn, and that's a wonderful thing. It's something that I miss sometimes in the real world.
Yeah.
So I think I was looking for that connection, and I was looking for a way for people to take me seriously as an actor.
Interesting.
I didn't want to continue just to show up at auditions and say, "Hey, I'm Richard. I'm just like every other guy that you've seen for this part, and here's my thing, and maybe you like me, and and maybe I'm not right for it. Who knows?" I wanted to come in there and have credentials and say, take me seriously right off the bat. Like I have talent, so let's see where we can put this talent.
Yeah, you said, "Hey, look, you check about me. You better Google me. You don't know." Tell them.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
you went to SCAD. Tell us about some of your experiences, because it seems like you did quite a lot throughout SCAD. So tell us about some of your experiences there, just being in SCAD.
Well, I was lucky. Because I think it was maybe the second day. I mean, I don't even know if the semester had actually started. Actually, I think it was an audition that was before the semester had actually started, and I was just in Savannah, ready to go to the first day.
Right.
And so I went to the audition, and I was incredibly lucky. I got the lead role for that play, which was Sharon Ott was directing Proof.
Yeah.
And get on Sharon's good side, and she'll open a lot of doors for you. And that's what it was. She immediately was a big fan of mine, and she helped me too. I think that I was maybe not quite as focused as I could have been, just because life is difficult, and a lot of things come up, and it's easy to get off course sometimes.
Right.
And she was in my corner. She was a big proponent of me, and said, you've got talent, don't waste this, focus up. And she was great. She gave me a lot of my roles right off the bat. So I was lucky in that aspect. I got my feet wet very quickly. Right. I just kept busy, as busy as I could. I started with that show, which was a big role. And, right before we left Savannah to go to Atlanta, I did the show with Lawrence Ballard, was the director for that one, The Shape of Things.
Yes, sir.
And that was another big role. So it felt bookended by good roles. And yeah, I mean, I genuinely think I became a better actor by going through that program. Wow. There are things that I wish that I could have accomplished, and things that I wish that the school itself could have accomplished while I was there, right. In terms of opportunities that were opening up for us. Okay. But at the end of the day, I genuinely feel like I became a better actor from going through that program. And that's something that's, that's you can't put a price tag on that.
That's a great thing. So you talked about some of the good things, but did you face any challenges with being SCAD? Because I mean, it was a very challenging program. Like you said, we were guinea pigs. So what were some of the challenges you faced just with being in that program?
Absolutely, man. I mean, the show is where I was able to be me and do my best work. I thought, outside of that, then you get into the dynamics of having a small cohort at a conservatory-based art program.
Right.
I'm not going to throw shade on SCAD in any way, shape, or form. I wasn't there in the audition room when these people, were being accepted into the program and whatnot. But to me, it felt like there were differences in the level of focus and desire, passion that people had.
Yep.
And I genuinely think that I was a bit in survival mode at that point. I was scared, Look, I moved there by myself. I had no family in Georgia. I was working on the side, waiting tables and bartending down on River Street, making that money. Sometimes till 3 a.m, sweeping floors, mopping up floors behind the bar, so I could go home, study lines, wake up at 7 a.m, go to my 8 o'clock class to be on stage.
Yeah.
Just so I could get through. So it's and I do think that we saw a lot of that same fight in each other.
Yeah.
I think that was what connected us almost immediately. It was definitely why I had a lot of respect for you, and why I thought you were someone that if I was going to align with, this is the guy to do it with. He's only going to inspire me and push me harder, and that's what I needed. So the struggles were dealing with those dynamics, those politics of a small cohort. Especially, there's only so many roles to go around, and if you start getting a lot of the lead roles time after time, it's almost instant anger from other people in the cohort, or maybe not anger, but you use that word, jealousy, probably.
Yeah, resentment. A lot of
resentment.
Yeah, it's definitely more of that. To me, because I didn't get a lot of roles, right? It helped me in a different way be a better actor. Because I didn't get to do much things, it allowed me much more time to focus on what was important for me. So it pushed me harder to say, okay, you think that you're this great actor, but are you going to do the work when no one is looking? Are you going to study when other people are not giving you roles, when you're not casted, when people don't say that you're at a high level that you're used to being from undergrad? What are you going to do? So to me, it goes back to you in that mirror. Okay, you're saying you want to be great, you want to do this, but what are you going to do when your name isn't called, when you're not doing roles? So to me, it made me look to say, how bad do you really want it? And I had to look at myself and say I want it, but how bad do I really want it? So it was a deciding factor for me to say, how bad do you really want it? But to see someone that I had so much respect for and that I hung out with all the time, I'm like, if you're winning, I'm winning. So I was okay with that, man. I remember nights where I'm calling you like, man, I'm at work at the steakhouse. I'm going to get off at this time because I'll be leaving the library at midnight. And I call you and you're like, yeah, I don't get off till 1 o'clock. So I remember nights like that. I
Absolutely
being super tired, but it's just like, yo, we got to keep going. We got to keep doing it. So I saw the
definitely, and I think that proves it. And SCAD, they did shows, but they didn't do shows all the time. So like you said, a lot of it is you're waking up early, going to a classroom, the same people, every single day. That's hard. You got to put work in. There's no audience there watching you. So there's it's. You got to build the tools for your toolbox. You got to build your skills, and they wanted to prepare you for the real world, so they put you on a tough schedule. I think they put us in a real tough schedule a lot of times, quite honestly.
Classes what, 2.5 hours long were classes? It was super long. Because I remember
sometimes even longer.
Yeah, I remember. I'm like, I've never been in a class this long ever in my life. Like, what is this?
And on your feet a lot of the time for most of all of it,
even fight.
Hey, I'm not here to complain. Like, I signed up for it. I loved it. But, at the end of the day, there was some hard work involved. And, I'll give props for that,
Definitely. Fight class and stage combat. I mean.
Stage combat was wild. That was really a class where me and you connected, because I think that went back to our physical acting capabilities. Yes. And we were called on a lot in order to demonstrate in front of the class and stuff, because we did have a background. We had physicality, and you know, even when we were fencing, you know, me and you were fencing partners. You know, oh man, so much fun. You know, I wish I could go to stage combat class to this day. I missed that one.
Yeah.
Martin Noyes, good guy.
Yeah, definitely, man. It was a great experience. But so you talked about some of the great things of SCAD, some of the things that challenge you. But let's talk about after you left SCAD. What did SCAD, once you got into the real world, what did you learn about SCAD then? Because now you're not in school anymore. Now you're actual working, you're a professional actor, like you're a professional now.
Yeah. You know, honestly, it was rough because I think they had tried to set us up with that showcase that we had at the end of our time there. And once I got out in the real world and was meeting other graduates of big, you know, programs, I realized that had been their ticket into the professional world.
Right.
Were those showcases and those meetings and getting casting directors out to them. So, you know, I had to play catch up a little bit. And I think I also sort of realized that as much as I loved live performance and I loved the stage, I started to go into the television and film world. I wanted to do that. I grew up loving films, and so there was this part of me that always felt like, you know, it's my art form and it's in this different medium, and I want to do that. I want to try that, you know, and I want to seriously try that. So once I moved out to Los Angeles, you know, you realize there are steps that you could have been taking for many years that you probably should have been taking, that you know, begin that climb up that very, very long ladder. Every once in a while, you get lucky, you get a warp speed whistle, and you know, you meet the right person, you get up a couple notches. But for the most part, it's a long ladder. Right. And you know, there are definitely things that I wish I could have done back in SCAD that would have prepared me a little bit better. But you know, like you said, we were guinea pigs. I think were we officially the first class to graduate from that program?
I'm pretty sure we were, because I mean,
first or second, we were right there.
Right in the beginning, because it was really trial by fire. Like, that didn't work. Maybe I don't know. Like, even moving to Atlanta, it was like,
that was wild.
Okay, we're going to Atlanta, and it was no plans. It was kind of like,
no plans.
Hey, you guys got to move. I'm like, well, we're in town. Where we're going to stay? Are you guys providing housing? No, you got to go there. What?
Oh man! And me and you, full-time jobs.
Like, how is this gonna work? Like, what are we gonna?
Oh, that was. I'm getting heart palpitations thinking about it. To this day, that was one of the most stressful times in my entire life. And you know, I could have made a big stink about it. I could have gone to the dean. I could have said, you know, I need some time. Suspend me my time here for a semester. I need to focus. There's a lot of different options. I bit the bullet. I went hard into it. It was difficult. It was very difficult, but I made it out alive. And, I think I feel good about what I'm doing these days. You know, I feel I'm happy.
Yeah. I mean, it was the moment of, like, to me, it was almost like we got kicked out of the nest, so to speak, because at that moment, it was no more about, hey, we're all here together, because at that point, everyone is now dispersed out every place. Some people are outskirts of Atlanta, some people are right in Atlanta. It was more like, okay, what is it that you're really trying to do now? Because I think we're getting closer and closer to that day to say, okay, we're about to graduate. So now what are your plans? So it kind of made everyone say, hey, I like you in class, but hey, right now I got to worry about where I'm gonna live and work and all these other things. So it just allowed everyone to kind of really focus, hone in. Okay, I got to get serious because it's about to get real soon.
And so many people, I think, finally realized, my journey as an actor this is not where I'm going. Like, because I think that was the idea when we all came into the program, was we all started off as actors.
Yeah, and we learned very well. There was only a few of us, like
only a few,
3 maybe, that wanted to do acting. Everyone else was not for me.
100%, 100%. Yeah, and that was difficult for me, to be quite honest with you, because I was going there looking for lifelong artist peers. you
True.
know,
True.
people that I could look to for professional jobs and then I could give professional jobs to.
True.
I luckily, I met you and we have that relationship, but that wasn't something that I had with anybody else really. There were a couple other people that I was close with. I mean, I remember Elizabeth, I was pretty close with, and she, she did go on to do some acting for a while. As far as I know, I don't know. It's hard to keep up with people. I'm not exactly sure. I don't think she does it anymore. But I think that she had a passion for it back then for sure, and that was inspiring. And yeah, honestly, looking back on it, that's everybody that I was close to was because they were passionate and they were focused.
Yeah. So you moved to, so before we get into your Cali journey and all the great things you're going to do and doing right now, tell us though, what is the hardest part about being an actor? Because now society has you believe that any and everybody can get on a stage or get a script, do a movie, like everybody can do it. So what would you say is the hardest part, or even at least for you, what has been the hardest part about being an actor?
I wouldn't be able to do the things I did if I didn't make the sacrifices that I do. And that's that daily sacrifice. That's, you can call it hard or you can kind of love it. I've fallen into sort of loving the difficulty of it.
Yeah.
But it's, if my time was being given other places, in certain amounts, there's no way that I could be doing the things that I do. I mean, this is kind of a silly example, but for instance, New Year's Eve, the only reason I saw that it was midnight when the ball dropped or whatever is because I was looking at my phone because I was submitting a callback self tape. I think I had 5 that night I had to submit.
Right.
That's what I didn't have to do any of those. Those are sacrifices I make every time. I'm not out there with friends, with family necessarily. Look, I'm not saying don't have friends and family. These are very important things in people's lives. What I'm saying is there is a focus, a dedication that requires sacrifice and discipline. Right. And that's, people joke and say, oh, being an actor is so hard. What, go work in a coal mine, go tar roofs in the middle of summer. And I say, hey man, listen, I did all that stuff. I grew up poor. I had jobs. I had difficult jobs. I know what it feels like to dig a ditch per se. Right. You know what I mean? And trust me, there are some aspects to acting that are very difficult. You have to be on all the time. You have to be with it. You have to be, that job that I had with the Repertory Theater in Virginia. I remember sometimes we would be in a, we'd be in a state and we'd be, our call for the show was, maybe like 1 p.m. that day, right? But we had to travel from one state to the other to get there. So your call to get on that bus to drive to that other state to get on the tour bus was 4 a.m. sometimes. You know what I mean? It's a lifestyle. I mean, it's a lifestyle. It's not, and if you want the roles that you want, you might have to discipline your body. You have to eat the right things to stay in shape the right ways. Yes. Will Smith doesn't look good just because he was blessed with that. You know what I mean? He works out every single day. Why? Is it because he can't get roles? No, I mean, he's Will Smith. He can get whatever he wants, but the point is he wants those roles. He's dedicated to that aspect of his art. That was, inspirational for me for sure.
That's dope, man. So we know that, when it comes to success, no success comes without haters, doubters, naysayers, non-believers, people who just don't get it. What has been your experience with those type of people? Because not everything is all peaches and roses.
Oh, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're all over the place. And sometimes they pretend to be your best friend. I mean, that'll happen. That'll happen. Here's what I pay attention to, energy. You know what I mean? you might say, "Woof, Rich, you've been in Southern California for too long, getting hippie on me." That, you know, that's not what I mean. I mean, it's just, hey, are you going to bring my energy down or up? That's all I mean. You know, when I walk into a room with you, is my mood going to go up or down? I put myself in those rooms of people where my mood goes up. You know, that's it. You got to, because life is hard, and if you're not streamlining yourself, you know, if you're not cutting the fat, so to speak,
Yeah.
What are you doing? You know, what are you doing?
That's real. I like it, Rich. So what was your motivation to go to Cali? Did you have a role that took you there, or was it like, hey, this is what I want to do, I'm going there, let's go?
No role at all. And maybe that was dumb. I'm doing well for myself now, but you know, I don't think my parents were too happy about the fact that I was just like, no, I'm getting in the car, I'll see you tomorrow. I ended up making. I felt it inside. You know, when you feel something, you know, you're dedicated for something. I think beforehand I kept saying, well, let me save up some more money. Let me, you know, get this job. Let me get this degree. Let me do this thing. Right. I finally just woke up one day and said, enough's enough. I'm out. I'm going where they make movies. Wow. And I remember the first day I was looking for a job, and you know, I could type into the search bar bartender, or I could type in actor. You know what I'm saying? And I just went full fledged. You know, I did do side jobs here and there, absolutely, but that didn't distract me. I was always an actor, and that was my focus.
Come on, Rich. Let's go, man. So let's dive into it, man. Talk to us about some of these IMDb credits you got, man. I know as actors, that's something that's very important when you're really trying to get into film and TV, and that's what people look for. So talk to us about some of those, man.
Yeah, you know, I'm still starting off. I'm doing what I can, trying to build out a bigger page. But from what I got on there, it's, you know, what you want to do is connect with people who are doing good productions. That's what I mean about being able to say no. Don't say yes to everything. You know, find out which productions are going to give you that springboard. I'd try and work with good people. I've been, you know, lucky to have an agent and a manager for a while now, and they, are trying to set me off on a path with good people. And you know, it's a struggle. I'm not always, you know, loving, you know, the progress. You know, sometimes it takes time, but you see work after you put in work, and you know, that's what I'm doing. So yeah, there's IMDb credits, you know, they're good, and I'm happy that I was a part of those productions, and I'm just trying to add as many more as I can, honestly.
Let's go. Keep them coming, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
So I know one of the hardest things to do for artists is kind of to sit back and look at what you do and kind of give you that good job, Rich. Have you had a moment yet in your career where you felt like, okay, I'm successful, I'm doing something I love, or I'm making a difference, whatever the case? Because I know as artists, we're very on point. Like everything has to be perfect. We're perfectionists. And sometimes we don't sit back to look at all the things we have done because we're looking for the next role, the next thing we're going to do. So have you had a moment yet where you felt like some type of success?
Now and then, you know, you always want to kind of push and keep going. Once I was making most of my money, or all of my money for you know, that year as an actor, instead of, you know, having to do other things, that feels good. That feels good, because then, you know, in a way that, you know, you can always kind of be professional in that aspect.
Yes.
And that feels like, you know, you're getting recognition back from the thing that you were putting so much time into.
Yeah.
So I think that was it. But, you know, then immediately it was like, oof, not making as much as I want to. Let's go. You know, let's make some more. So
like it, man. So from one artist to the next, man, you know, my man's $100,000, man. My brother from another mother, dog. I want to say, man, you're very successful. Shout out to you. Salute to you for all the things you're doing. You're not only successful because of the roles you had or the work you're doing, but simply because you're doing it. There are so many people that wish that they had the testicular fortitude to get out there and do what it has to be called to be an artist, to have those sacrifices, to say, do I want to go to this job or do I want to go to this audition? It is not easy, and it's not small. Whether you're on the big screen, small screen, or just on the stage, it's all important. And I salute you. Salute you, my boy. So
I salute you too, my man. It's great to catch up. This has been awesome, man.
Oh no, we ain't done. We ain't done. I just had to give you flowers, man. You know.
Oh, okay. I appreciate it.
All about giving you flowers, man. I'm a big fan of giving people their credit when they do. I had to say that before I even moved on. But
I appreciate it.
So let's switch gears a little bit, man. You know, you've done quite a few roles in your journey. What has been more of one of the more challenging roles for yourself?
Yeah, you know, the one that comes to mind probably, honestly, is the theater, is the touring roles that I had, you know, and for two reasons. One, because we did a Black History play, and it was amazing, man. When you don't always get to have the option of having talkbacks with audiences, but sometimes you do.
Right.
And especially with any kind of play where we would play a lot of like colleges and stuff with this particular play, because it was historical and it was valuable, and they were able to supplement a lot of our performances, you know, by getting people in with arts initiatives and different things like that.
I got you.
So that one was difficult just because, you know, it's hard to play those deeply emotional, dramatic, especially if they're true, you know, scenes and topics, you know, themes. But they're important. They're obviously very important. And, you know, if I'm being honest, I think that being a live stage performer is just in totality more difficult and harder than it is to be in film or on television or anything that you are behind the camera. In front of the camera, whatever, you know, and so, you know, hey man, you got to show up every day, you know, you got to show up every day. And if the scene calls for you to be happy and you just had one of the worst days of your life, guess what? You know,
you got to get it.
Whistle it away, because here you go, you know. And I do love that about the stage, because every night you get that applause, you get those lights, you know, the people are there. It almost feels good to release yourself and to get in those scenes, even if you have had a bad day. It almost feels good to just get it out, you know. But you know, it's a different world. It's a different world to go into film and television, because you know, those are encapsulated moments in digital formats now. You know, so you can watch that television show. You can go see that movie years and years from now. You know, those moments are staged. That's for you and that audience and that room. You know, those four walls. That's it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's harder, but there's something that's more raw and beautiful about it too.
Yeah. It takes a lot, and I think people think that it's easy that don't know it until the lights come on. I always say people want a chance until the lights come on, because once them stage lights hit you and you can hear people breathing and talking and all that, then it's like, oh, these are real live people. Like there's no cut. There's no another take. Like
there's no cut. You're right. That's right. And it's not like, you know, like when you're filming television in front of a live audience, where they can still say, okay, let's get another reaction, let's get another take, and they just, you know, basically do it over and have the, you know, the audience is still there, you're still having this live performance, but you get to do it again. There's no doing it again.
You have to be present in the moment when it comes to live theater, because if you're not, you know, you're looking at the audience, or you're starry-eyed or gazing at something, and then this person drops a line, or a person doesn't come in on their cue or say their line, now you're like, okay, well, what are you going to do now? So you have to be there. And I know we both experienced those type of things happening.
Oh, absolutely. Well, because they would also do stuff to us where they'd be like, you know, learn this script by tomorrow. And we could be like, oh, all right. Okay. See you tomorrow. Oof. Not sleeping tonight, I guess. You know. and then we have to be on it, you know. And some, you know, some of the most terrifying but some of the best moments are when you have that issue, that failure. You know, it's not always with the actor either, obviously. Like sometimes the light will go out, you know, the backdrop will start to fall.
Yes.
You know, like, I mean, there's real things that can happen in these live theater moments. And I'm not saying it's an amateur production, and that kind of stuff happens on Broadway.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, to have that there is pretty funny, man. You know, it's a wonderful world, the you know, live performance. It's a hard one because, you know, theater, as you know very well, to make a living in theater, it's just it's almost impossible, you know. I mean, just because as an actor, at the very least, just because there's so few times where you can really, you know, you basically have to find a city, get in with the major theaters in that city, and then that's your life. And there's only very few people that can really achieve that.
Yeah.
You know, with film and television, there's so much content out there. There's so much content being made. You know, you don't have to be Denzel Washington. You can be everything down to the guy in the cafe behind the newspaper. Guess what? That guy still gets paid.
Right.
You know, so it's a different world. And as much as I love live theater, that's a lot of the reason I've gone into television and film is because, you know, I wanted to up the tax return that year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I like it, man. So you alluded early to 2020 and the pandemic and COVID-19, crazy world that we live in, right?
Mm-hmm.
As an artist, do you feel like 2020 made things better for you, or was it worse for you as an artist? Because, you know, some people it allowed them more opportunities, and other people it took away so many things. So what was the effect for you as it relates to 2020?
There is no accomplishment without struggle.
Yeah.
You know, war is a dirty, nasty thing, but it usually solves, well, it's aimed at solving a problem. Mm-hmm. And it almost always benefits the industrialization of whoever's fighting that battle. Okay. Just to use a metaphor, right? And you know, my point being is that, like, you don't like, it's not fun. Obviously, it wasn't a fun year for anybody. There was a lot of things that happened that were genuinely difficult, and people lost their lives, you know, and some of that was due to the inability of others to act properly, and that's a hard thing. That's a really difficult thing to know that people that didn't have to die did. So, you know, I'm certainly not going to sit here and say like, oh, that was great, you know, but at the same time, there is, you can't get iron without forging fire. Right. And, you know, for me, there was that forced stop to my live performing. Mm-hmm. And that really did allow me to focus up on the film, the television side of things.
Right.
I'm putting a lot more eggs in that basket now, and struggle is, you know, it's a part of life, and sometimes it can be inspirational. And you know, I putting a stop to all my live performances. You know, you can take certain things away. There's nothing I can do about that. You know, I can't just, you know, imagine, you know, you can do the digital streaming thing. And that's the idea, is that, like, you know, once you get something taken away, is you just refocus. You don't give up. You just find that other avenue to go down. So, you know, one of the things I did when the pandemic hit is I bought my own editing software, and I started learning how to edit better. Now, could I pay somebody else to edit for me? Of course I could. And that's what I was doing for, you know, reels and things like that. But I get new footage all the time. I have cameras. I have lights. I can shoot footage of myself. Yeah. So why continue to pay somebody to edit these things when I'm the one that knows how to make them look the best?
Yeah.
Why don't I just figure it out for myself? I have the time now to, you know, and that's really been helpful because honestly, I've reedited all my reels. I'm able to put clips out there, send them off to casting directors. And that's what they want. They want to see something quick, fast, that is in the vein of the style of what they're doing. And then if they like that, then they're going to ask you to submit something that's more direct to the actual script that they want. Obviously it used to be come into the room and meet the director at that point, but that doesn't happen. Sometimes they'll put you on a Zoom call, but that's about the closest you get.
Right. No, I mean, for artists, like you said, we have been hugely impacted, in our arena, in our world. But the one thing I can say that is so unique that we kind of get a moment to shine in, we've learned to pivot our whole career. That's how we survive. Like,
yeah,
we have to pivot all the time. You mentioned about having to work. It's like, do I want to go to work today or do I want to go to this audition?
Yeah.
Or, hey, I have to miss this day at work because I have to go audition for this film or this stage play or whatever. So
Yeah.
we sacrifice all the time. But I think for us, it's a time where it's like, we've learned to do this. Like, this is not new to us at all. It's always a constant, okay, how can I move here to shift here until you get to where you want to be? You always
What's
have
my next thing?
What's my next thing? Okay, I have to do here. Okay, I know I got to pay this phone bill. So let me go get this quick money to go here and then I'm going to do this. So it's all about that. So I think that's a one unique thing about artists that we can shine in moments like this. So
absolutely that survivor tenacity that you build from having to go from one contract to the next. It's just like it puts you in that position. I mean, as soon as we get off of this interview, I got a table read that I'm doing for a film that's shooting next month.
Right.
And that'll be on a Zoom. I'm going to meet all the actors on the Zoom call right now. Yeah. So it's always be the next thing. It's like there's never a day off. Put it that way.
Facts.
There's never a day off, because even if you have the day off, like I get to be in my house today. What am I doing? I'm furthering my career. We do the interview, we do the table read. I'm going to do a self tape later. It's just it's the ball's always rolling.
Constant grind. So tell us, Rich, man. I know as an artist, we always got something in our back pocket, man. We always working on something. We always got an idea. What can the people look forward to seeing from you? I know you got some projects coming up.
Yeah, I've got some projects coming up. Like I said, we're shooting this film next month. That should be fun. They're going to do the festival circuit with it, so it probably won't be available for about another year or so. But I'll definitely be putting that out whenever they edit and finish that. So it's always just trying to find that next thing. I thought I might be able to be in Atlanta soon, doing this film, but I'm still waiting to hear back from the guy. With the COVID protocols, everything gets pushed back, and it inflates your budget because you got to have a COVID compliance officer there. Then you have to have a sanitation crew that comes in with their oxide gun, and so it's the budgets get inflated because if you've been on set since COVID, that they take it seriously. They don't want outbreaks to happen. It's one of the very few industries that still has some business available is film and television. So, but I got that. You can always check me out. Check out my website. IamRichardMooney.com.
Yeah. Too as well on the video.
Absolutely. And, just always doing things. I'm writing right now too. I write. So when I have the opportunity, when I'm not in front of the camera or on stage, if I'm getting at my art, it's writing. And I got a screenplay that I'm about half finished with right now. I'm really excited about. I think I might be able to produce it with some friends later. So yeah, I'm excited, man. That's my next big shot. So we'll see.
That's cool, man. So
don't throw away your shot. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, of course, man. You got to keep doing it, man.
You got to keep shooting your shot,
Always. So before I let you go, man, I'm going to give you this opportunity to talk directly to the people. And I want you to answer these two questions, man. One, what is it that you want people to know about Richard Mooney, the artist, right? And then two, what is it that you want to leave with people? Because there may be people that are watching this that are artists themselves, maybe aspire to be artists, or even people who are not sure what it means to be an artist. So I want to give you this opportunity to talk directly to the people. I'm gonna step back, man. The stage is yours. Whatever you want to do, go ahead, do your thing, boss.
Oh man, you're the best, Jay. Let me just start by saying that I'm glad to have good friends and good people, and that's that's how you stay afloat. It's you surround yourself by good people, and that's what I want to be known for. I want to be known as a good person. I want to be known as somebody that gave it their all. I think that anything that you do, you should do it to the best of your ability. You should put as much effort and work into it as you can. And I pride myself on taking every role very seriously and doing it to the best of my ability. Honestly, man, I grew up, a poor kid in a family, in Virginia. I went through the foster system as a kid. There was absolutely nothing in my life that said, "Hey, you're gonna move to Hollywood one day and be an actor, man." There's nothing in my life that said that. In fact, there were multiple people and signs that said, no, you're not going to do that. Go get a job at 7-Eleven and be thankful that you can do that you have 2 arms and 2 legs and can. I was always thankful. I was always grateful, but I just always pushed harder and I just wanted more. And I never gave up that fight. So I just think, that's a lesson that anybody can take with them. I certainly haven't reached the pinnacle of my career yet, but I feel good about where I am and I feel good about what I'm doing, and you can get there. Anybody can get there. It doesn't have to be what, is necessarily the thing that makes sense or what your family tells you or what your friends tell you. It can be what you want, so if you want something, go get it.
Just like that. Just like that, man.
Go get it.
Rich Mooney, man, my boy, man, from Savannah. My man's my brother from a different mother, man. I appreciate you for accepting my invitation to come to this show. It was definitely a pleasure, an honor, man.
Absolutely.
I learning these stories about you, man. I was a fan, like, oh, for real. Tell me more about this, man.
Man, it's always good to catch up with you, Jay, for sure, man.
Definitely, man. I hope you enjoyed it, man. It was definitely
absolutely.
I had a ball, man. I appreciate you for coming through. Thank y'all for everybody who tuned in. We will definitely catch y'all next week. But remember to always support the arts. Catch y'all next week.